call the Finance Property Committee meeting to order. All members are present. I don't believe there's a reason to go around the room. Unless, I don't know if you know that gentleman's name by the door.
Dennis.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Item number 2 is consider for approval a recommendation from Statewide Services to deny a claim from William Borey for damages to the claimant's vehicle.
Okay, you all get the denial letter from State Farm. Basically, the gist of it is that one of our snow plows was stopped and started and backed up a little bit and hit the claimant's vehicle, and it was determined that they didn't maintain the proper distance behind our vehicle. So, and that's our statewide services determined that the driver of the vehicle is majority at fault, and so recommended denial of the claim.
And just like it says, the plow was just stopped.
Right.
Not backing.
Right, it stopped and then backed up, but they didn't maintain that distance behind the plow.
What is the distance?
Is there a
20
state law?
feet, at least 20 feet behind.
I think it is. There's
Okay.
cite a statute here.
Okay.
And basically what is, and I always say this mostly for people listening, is that denial of the claim is basically just setting the statutory limitations to 6 months, that the claimant still has the right to proceed with legal action, but just shortens that up to they have to do within the next 6 months.
Yep.
Okay. So.
I'll make a motion then to deny the claim by William Borey.
I'll second it.
Motion and second to deny the claim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Item number 3, consider for approval permission to allow the Whitterfield Warming House to be utilized as a contractor construction field office for the Whitterfield Aquatics facility, should a contract be approved.
So we wanted to potentially see if that would entice any of the bidders to reduce their mobilization cost, if we would allow them to use that facility as their field office instead of bringing in a portable field office, setting up the power, doing all that stuff. They'd still pay for utilities for it, but we thought that might be a carrot to knock,
a couple bucks off.
yeah, a couple $10,000 off the price of the project. So, in no way, shape, or form is it otherwise being used at this time of the year. We don't anticipate, any issues with that. It won't affect any of the materials that we'd salvage out of it should the project move forward. So staff's recommendation is to allow that facility to give the contractor that option should they choose to use it.
Makes sense.
Seeing that it is a use that's not really what the facility was intended for, we wanted to finance some property to potentially make a motion to accept that type of use if it's okay.
I'll make that motion that we allow the use of the warming house by potential contractors as a field office for the aquatic center.
I'll second. Motion and second to approve. Any further discussion? Okay, or anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Item number 4, review and consider the request from We Energies for a utility easement along Veterans Park and Mead Rapids View Parks, parcels 34-08030, 34-08180, and 34-08181. And this is what we discussed last month, Joe.
Correct. So in that location, there's currently an easement in the park. Staff's recommendation is to try to avoid easements in parks if it's possible to do so, because it doesn't give us as a municipality a lot of authority to control anything. If they need to tear something up, it could be middle of the 4th of July celebration. They want to maintain their service. They have the right to do so. In speaking with We Energies, they would prefer to move that main further to the east, and our recommendation is to essentially do an exchange where they would abandon their old main and abandon the easement that the old main was in exchange for an easement it's outside the street right away, but it's in the parking area along 2nd Street, just to the east of Veterans Park.
Still in the park though?
It's not in the street right away because the street right away is weird there. So technically it's in the park, but it's physically in the street, which is what we would like to see.
Looks like it goes under the angle parking.
Yeah, there are several locations, the next request is somewhat similar, where because the park is adjacent to the city street, the right-of-ways weren't necessarily taken care of because it's all city-owned property.
And you guys are happy with this?
We are,
And it's no cost to the city or taxpayers or anybody?
correct.
So I'll make a motion that we approve.
I'll second. There's a motion and a second to approve the request from We Energies for the utility easement as stated on the agenda. Any discussion? I believe this addresses, I believe it was your concern, Mr. Katnoff, last month that we wouldn't pay for it.
Right.
So all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Item number 5, review and consider a request from Solaris for a utility easement along Spring Street on city-owned property.
Thank you. So I'm passing out a illustration of the area and a letter from our assessor. So Solaris has some communication structures in that area and would like to do an easement outside of the road right away. That particular illustration doesn't show some of the other utilities in the area, but there are quite a few other utilities conflicting in the south half of that right away. Our preference would be to have it in the street, but given the use of this particular area and the other utilities that exist, staff's recommendation is to allow that easement to be purchased from the city at, I think it was $1,400 was the amount that the assessor valued that at. And Dennis is here to explain more about the project if need be.
I guess I would, yeah.
So what we're looking at is, right now, there are several facilities, utilities in that area, along with that bike path. So what we were looking at is getting easement so we would not have to cut into that bike path, and we would not have to have our utilities over the water main, which is also located outside the street, actually in the boulevard. So if the city would have to access or fix the water line there, we would not be in the same area. So we're trying to remove ourselves from conflict and damaging the bike path and repair it. So, because the right of way actually kind of jogs into the bike path and then back out. It's not a continuous line following the back end. Otherwise, we would just directional bore it, but that's not an option without the right of way lines jogging around through there. So.
I don't have any further questions.
Now, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion and second to approve the request. No further discussion.
I'm good.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, Joe.
I would like to make sure that the request includes the fee associated in the attached document.
In the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
So for the estimated value of $1,400.
Correct.
Do you agree to the amended motion?
Yes, I do.
Okay, then seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. I don't know why I
Motion
waited.
he second.
Yeah, but what was the motion with the fee, or
To make sure that was included in the motion, the $1,400?
that the Solaris is gonna pay?
Yes.
Item number 6 is adjournment.
Go ahead.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and we stand adjourned.